Hi, friends and children. Once again, welcome back to Home Tutor. I'm your personal teacher, Nipa Nibin. In 8th Standard History, Chapter 1, we study how, when, and where. So, we have already completed Part 1 and Part 2. This is our Part 3. And the topics are how do we periodize and what is colonial. So, definitely watch the other parts before you watch Part 3 so that there will be a continuation. So, now we are going to our topics. How do we periodize? In 1817, James Mill, a Scottish economist and political philosopher, published a massive three-volume work, A History of British India. In this, he divided Indian history into three periods: Hindu, Muslim, and British. This periodization came to be widely accepted. Can you think of any problem with this way of looking at Indian history? So, James Mill was a Scottish economist and political philosopher. So, who is an economist? A person expert in the topic of production, consumption, and transfer of wealth is normally known as an economist. Then, a political philosopher is a person who deals with the topics such as politics, liberty, freedom, justice, estate, then government, etc. So here James Mill prepared a huge, that is an immense three-volume book on Indian history known as A History of British India in 1817. James Mill was a British historian who wrote histories according to the side of the Britishers. In this book, he divided our Indian history into three periods of time, that is according to religion, caste, etc. That is Hindu, Muslim, and British. And this type of division was mostly accepted at that time because India was ruled by British and the historians were from Britain. But do you think Indian history can be divided in such a way as the Mill has written? Is there any problem in classifying Indian history according to the James Mill style? All these questions are discussed in this topic. Why do we try and divide history into different periods? We do so in an attempt to capture the characteristics of a time, its central features as they appear to us. So the terms through which we periodize, that is, demarcate the difference between periods, become important. They reflect our ideas about the past. They show how we see the significance of the change from one period to the next. So what is the use of dividing history into different periods? Here, by dividing into periods, we try to characterize the special features of that particular period. So periodization or demarcating becomes important for describing history of times. It expresses our idea about the past. So by demarcating into different periods, it becomes important to show the changes from one period to another that happened. Here demarcate means set a boundary for particular periods. And there was a division between the periods of Muslims, Hindus and Britishers. Mill thought that all Asian societies were at a lower level of civilization than Europe. According to his telling of history, before the British came to India, Hindu and Muslim despots ruled the country. Religious intolerance, caste taboos, and superstitious practices dominated social life. British rule, Mill felt, could civilize India. To do this, it was necessary to introduce European manners, arts, institutions, and laws in India. Mill, in fact, suggested that the British should conquer all the territories in India to ensure the enlightenment and happiness of the Indian people. For India was not capable of progress without British help. Yes, the stage of human social and cultural development and organization that is considered most advanced is civilization. According to Mill, he considered that the Asian societies are not civilized as Europeans and are in a very lower stage of civilization or modernization. In his history, he says that India was ruled by the despotic rulers of Hindu and Muslims before the Britishers came to India. An absolute ruler who rules his country by oppressing his subjects is called as despotic. Then religious intolerance means to refuse or to tolerate one's practices, persons, or belief on religious basis. So we had religious intolerance in Indian society. Then another one is caste taboos such as untouchability, sati, racism, etc. That is caste taboo. This was also prevalent in our society. And another one is superstitious beliefs, the beliefs that one cannot be accepted, which means to believe in omens. All these influenced the Indian society. So Mill thought that in order to civilize India or a more advanced development of India, India should be ruled by Britishers. For civilizing India, lot of criteria should be introduced in India like Europeans' manners, that is context, arts, that is skills, then institutions, maybe organizations, and law and justice system. All these should be introduced from Europe. Also, Mill said that in order to ensure the happiness and to understand something in a sense of manner or of high degree, that is to get enlightened, Indian territories should be conquered and ruled by Britishers. This is because India can't get progressed without the help of Britishers. These are the thoughts according to the Mill. Mill's Indian history. You know its name? A history of British India. So in this book he have written all these concepts because he is a British historian. In this idea of history, British rule represented all the forces of progress and civilization. The period before British rule was one of darkness. Can such a conception be accepted today? So, according to the idea of history, like historians like Mill, British rule is considered as a source of all the forces of development and advancement of social and cultural well-being. They considered that Indians were under darkness until the period of British rule. Here it is asked that such a thought or concept of Indian history is acceptable today. In any case, can we refer to any period of history as Hindu or Muslim? Did not a variety of faiths exist simultaneously in these periods? Why should we characterize an age only through the religion of the rulers of the time? To do so is to suggest that the lives and practices of the others do not really matter. We should also remember that even rulers in ancient India did not all share the same faith. We cannot refer the Indian history, the periods into Hindu, Muslim, and British. It is not possible to an Indian historian to think in such a way. Various type of faiths, beliefs existed in this period, and thus we cannot classify the periods into religious or a religion of a particular king who has been ruling at that time or in that period. So, by that concept or particular religion, we cannot divide that period and say that Indian history depends upon a religion or any caste system, and the periods are classified into Hindu, Muslim, etc. That is not at all acceptable by Indian historians. By doing like this, the religion and faith other than the faith of the ruler doesn't have any importance at that time or at that period. We know that India is featured with thousands of faiths from the time immemorable. So, a concept of division of Indian history in the basis of caste or religion, or for example, like Muslim, Hindu, and Britishers, that was not at all acceptable by our historians or the historians of India. Moving away from British classification, historians have usually divided Indian history into ancient, medieval, and modern. This division too has its problems. It is a periodization that is borrowed from the West, where the modern period was associated with the growth of all the forces of modernity: science, reason, democracy, liberty, and equality. Medieval was a term used to describe a society where these features of modern society did not exist. Can we uncritically accept this characterization of the modern period to describe the period of our study? As you will see in this book, under British rule, people did not have equality, freedom, or liberty, nor was the period one of economic growth and progress. Many historians therefore refer to this period as colonial. So now we are leaving the classification done by the British historians as Muslim, Hindu, and Britishers. And now we are coming to the Indian historians. They divided our Indian history into ancient, medieval, and modern, which is also having some drawbacks. This classification is borrowed from West. Normally, we call the people from West, that is Americans and Europeans. The Americans and Europeans are already enjoying modern period or civilization, while we divided our Indian history into ancient, medieval, and modern. They have far better developments on the field of science, reasoning, democracy, liberty, and equality. When they say medieval, there is no such development that is mentioned above. But our historians included all these features while we were in medieval period itself. So here the question is asked that whether we can use these features of modern period to describe the period of Indian history where the Indians doesn't had any features of modernity like equality, liberty, etc. And this was not a period of economic progress, which was an important criteria of modern period. Under the Britishers, the Indians were exploited very much and they doesn't have any type of equality, freedom, liberty, or the most important feature of modern period, that is economic growth and progresses. So when Indians were in such a situation or such a period where they doesn't even know what is modernization, at that time itself, our Indian historians classified the Indian people as a society of modern by saying some concepts like science, reasoning, democracy, liberty, and equality, etc. We doesn't had any type of development at that time. So in that period itself, our historians mentioned all these things and they called us modern. But so most of the historians refer this period as colonial, the period where we got exploitation from a country, that is Britain. When India was under Britain, India was exploited, Indians were tortured, and the historians refer this period as colonial instead of modernized or modern. What is colonial? In this book, you will read about the way the British came to conquer the country and establish their rule, subjugating local Nawabs and Rajas. You will see how they established control over the economy and society, collected revenue to meet all their expenses, bought the goods they wanted at low prices, produced crops they needed for export, and you will understand the changes that came about as a consequence. You will also come to know about the changes British rule brought about in values and tastes, custom and practices. When the subjugation of one country by another leads to these kinds of political, economic, social, and cultural changes, we refer to the process as colonization. You will, however, find that all classes and groups did not experience these changes in the same way. That is why the book is called Our Past in the Plural. In this book, we are going to study how the Britishers came to India, conquered India, expanded their rule and power, and finally overcome and control the total Nawabs and Rajas. How Britishers controlled economy and society, what was a method to collect revenue, then the system of taxation, the torturings, then compelled lending, recovery of money, annexation, seizure of property, then how they bought the goods, exported it, and finally changed Indians and their society for their convenience, and the after effects that we are suffering still. All these are we are going to study in this chapter. We also study about the influence of Western taste, customs, practices, etc. And when these exchanges of culture, economy, and customs, etc., occurs, due to the rule of one country over the other, we say it as colonization. The country which is tortured is known as colony. So under colonization, we can say that in India there are different type of classes and groups. So in a way we can say that all these groups have enjoyed or exploited or had a different degree of experience while they were under British rule. So when different caste or different group or different people of India had experienced a different variety of consequences and changes, we call this book as Our Past in the Plural. So we are winding up our session part 3. We have already covered part 1 and part 2, so definitely watch the videos. Please don't forget to watch, like, share, subscribe, and also when you're subscribing, please click on the bell icon. And the continuous watching of video will make all these topics clear and easy for you. Only I'm asking you to watch the videos repeatedly. So thank you very much once again, and we'll meet on next video or next topic that will be about how do we know about the history and from where did we got all the informations or facts regarding the history, like surveys, archaeological survey, then botanical survey, etc., then record keeping, etc. All these topics will be taught in the next session. So please try to watch the videos. Thank you very much.